The next morning, Shu-chin wakes up, but Seong Yan has already left. After chatting briefly over the phone, she begins her day, now becoming an expert at riding her bicycle, scanning her card at the subway gate, and taking the train. Meanwhile, Seong Yan leads another rescue operation to save a burning building. Jung Yu, who was leading another team on the second floor, is caught off guard by an explosion that throws him across the room. Seong Yan rushes to his aid while the rest of the team continues fighting the fire. Jung Yu reports that there were flammable materials upstairs, and Seong Yan confronts the building owner, who reveals there was sodium chloride stored inside. Seong Yan is furious, accusing him of putting his men's lives at risk by hiding such crucial information. The man begs Seong Yan not to report it to the authorities, but Seong Yan assures him he will suffer the consequences for his irresponsibility. Later that night, Seong Yan finds Jung Yu sitting alone, still shaken by the incident. Jung Yu admits he's scared. He realizes he could have died, and asks how Seong Yan manages not to feel fear. Seong Yan explains that he relies on training, experience, and the rescue plan. That's all he can do. Of course, he feels fear too, but Jung Yu must understand that they are the city's courage. If they give in to fear, the city crumbles. So when the city needs him, he doesn't back down. He adds that he doesn't fight alone, he has his brothers by his side. And he explains to Jung Yu that this is how it works. He takes care of his team, and his team takes care of him. Arriving at the hospital, Shu-chin encounters a commotion. A family is accusing Dr. Yang of being responsible for the death of their relative. Yang feels guilty for not being able to save the woman, but Shu-chin, who reviewed the report, tells her there was nothing that could have been done. Yang knows that logically, but still struggles to understand why it had to happen to her. To make matters worse, the family storms to the top of the building, threatening to jump if the hospital doesn't compensate them for the so-called mistake. On the hospital rooftop, doctors and police officers tried to prevent them from making a fatal mistake when Seong Yan and his team arrived. However, when Shu-chin arrived and realized they were only pretending to get money from the hospital, she coldly threw harsh truths in their faces. She told them that if they jumped from that height, they wouldn't die, but would only break a few bones, potentially becoming paralyzed and spending the rest of their lives in bed, forced to spend a lot of money just to stay alive. The elderly woman accused her of lacking feelings and blamed the hospital for her daughter-in-law's death, demanding financial compensation. Shu-chin firmly stated that she would never allow the hospital to pay them, as that would falsely admit to a mistake that Dr. Yang did not make. Shu-chin also accused the husband of exploiting his wife's death to earn easy money, accusing him of not being a real man. This enraged him so much that he lunged at her, but Seong Yan reached him first and restrained him, while his teammate pulled the elderly woman to safety. Director Shu was furious with the risky strategy Shu-chin had used. She apologized, but showed no regret. He scolded her, especially because he couldn't understand why she had done that when police officers and firefighters were already handling the situation. Shu-chin, usually calm, seemed entirely different at that moment. She interrupted him, asking him to punish her already because she had patients to attend to. He replied that there was no need to punish her. He just wanted her to reflect on what she had done. At night, as Shu-chin returned home, Seong Yan's uncle and aunt were waiting outside, worried because she was coming back so late. They also revealed they had bought her favorite dumplings and hurried her inside to have dinner together. While they were eating, the aunt encouraged her to eat more, commenting that she was as thin as Seong Yan, because neither of them could eat properly due to their demanding jobs. Shu-chin showed a worried expression, and the aunt asked what was wrong. She revealed that she had seen Seong Yan in action several times and was worried because he always put himself at risk. So, when she saw Seong Yan ready to take risks on the hospital rooftop to save two opportunists, she lost emotional control. The aunt tried to comfort her, reminding her that Seong Yan was very experienced and knew how to take care of himself, always protecting his team members. She and the uncle confessed that they had tried to convince him to change jobs, but he refused to abandon his team. And today, Shilitai is ranked as the best and most reliable fire station in the region, thanks to his leadership. There have been no serious accidents or deaths because he trained them well. Shu-chin became curious about why Seong Yan ended up becoming a firefighter, and the uncle explained that he started his career in the military, where he excelled. However, due to certain events, he couldn't get promoted, which eventually forced him to change his profession. Before Mr. Joe could delve deeper into the topic, Mrs. Joe interrupted him, and they strangely changed the subject, saying that Shu Qin must be tired and needed to rest. That night, Shu Qin had nightmares of Seong Yan being caught in an explosion and woke up in the middle of the night, scared. She tried calling him, but he didn't answer. This triggered a traumatic memory for her. When she was a child, she woke up trapped in her room with the house on fire. She managed to escape through the window, but when she found her parents, she saw her father dead in bed and her mother with tears in her eyes, apologizing for what she had done. The series does not make it clear, but it seems the woman had to take desperate measures to protect them from her husband. When Seong Yan enters his office and sees her missed call, he immediately calls her back. Shu Qin tells him that she had a nightmare where she saw him caught in an explosion and dying. He calmly reassures her, saying he is fine and that since he is still recovering, he can't even participate in the most dangerous missions. He mentions that he now has the entire weekend off to spend with her, and Shu Qin shares that she also managed to switch some shifts with her colleagues, making her free on the same days as him. Seong Yan reveals that his salary has increased and insists that she should no longer take the subway. Instead, she should use a taxi to go to work. But he is interrupted by her trembling voice, saying that she misses him so much. He tells her that he misses her too, but now they will be able to spend more time together, and asks her not to worry too much and get some rest. The next day, at the station, the firefighters see Zhang Yu emotional as he watches the video of Seong Yan worrying about him after the explosion. Even though his teammates tease him, he can't hold back his tears, feeling happy to know that Seong Yan cares about him. A cyanide leak occurs, poisoning 3 workers. Seong Yan's team is dispatched, and upon arrival, Seong Yan examines the building's layout to better understand what happened and where the leak is coming from. What worries him most is knowing that there are around 25 tons of cyanide on site, with just 60 milligrams being enough to kill a human. In other words, the place has become a lethal gas chamber. After setting up the decontamination chamber and using a robot to locate the exact spot they need to fix, Seong Yan and a teammate enter the building wearing protective suits. Guided by their teammates outside through the robot, they reach the acidic wastewater valve. They manage to close it, but before leaving, they notice one of the pipes leaking. Seong Yan is startled when the poison sprays in his direction, and he accidentally brushes against something sharp, puncturing his suit, though he doesn't notice it at the time and continues the mission. Using a wrench, he manages to seal the leak. Meanwhile, at the hospital, none of the 3 poisoned workers survive. Seong Yan and his teammate exit the building, but after passing through the decontamination chamber and removing his suit, Seong Yan begins to feel dizzy and unfocused, struggling to breathe. When a team member notices the tear in his suit, they see their captain collapsing inside the chamber. They quickly rush him to the hospital, where Shu Qin is informed of another cyanide poisoning case, and Director Shu orders her to hurry to the emergency room. Along the way, when she learns that it is a firefighter, she runs frantically and is shocked to see that it is Seong Yan. Despite being terrified and with tears in her eyes, she maintains her focus to save him. Oxygen and CPR don't work, so she injects epinephrine into his veins and uses the defibrillator. Seong Yan remains unconscious, and Shu Qin's voice is already trembling, her eyes filled with tears, but she doesn't give up and tries several more times. Finally, his pulse returns, and Shu Qin collapses in tears, relieved that she didn't lose him. She rushes to the room where his blood toxicity test is conducted, and finally feels relieved when she learns that he will be fine. When Seong Yan wakes up, she enters, shares the test results, and reminds him that he lied to her about not going on dangerous missions while recovering and promised her he would be safe. Seong Yan apologizes, explaining that he only wanted to avoid worrying her. But Shu Qin says she doesn't care that he lied. The real problem is that he always puts himself at risk. She only wants him to stay safe. She even suggests he change jobs, but Seong Yan remains silent. Before leaving, with tears in her eyes, she admits that she is not a noble person who cares about justice. Crying, she reveals herself as a selfish person who doesn't want to see him being the hero who risks his life to save people she doesn't care about. She doesn't understand why she is like this and feels guilty about it, but all she wants is to be with him forever. Seong Yan hugs and comforts her, but can't promise her that. Shu-chin spends the day at work, suffering with the thought that she could lose him at any moment. And when she returns home, she finds him waiting outside. She is still upset, but he pulls her into his arms. Shu-chin tries to push him away, but she gives in after he calls her his wife and asks her to let him hold her a little longer. Speaking softly in his ear, she invites him inside, but he suggests they go out for drinks together, just the two of them, like they used to in their teenage years. They share snacks, drink together, and flirt, as if they've traveled back in time. Excited, she asks to drink more. Seong Yan asks why she wants to drink so much, and she, already a bit tipsy, says she only drinks now if it's with him. So she has to make the most of every moment, doing all the things she loves with him. She brings up his job again, and Seong Yan admits that he never thought about nobility or sacrifice, and even feels exhausted sometimes. But after saving so many lives, he feels like he can't stop anymore. Shu-chin tells him how his family treats her so well in his absence, and reminds him of when she once said she wanted to live with them in that house. At that time, she was young, immature, and just said it without thinking. But now that she has grown up and is truly living there with them, she is genuinely happy. Living with his family is wonderful. Mr. and Mrs. Zhao wait outside for her when she returns from work, and his aunt always warms Shu-chin's hand in her pocket while walking her home when it's cold. His uncle always makes sure she eats well and stays healthy. Miao always cheers her up and makes her laugh. She truly loves them all, but she knows they treat her so well only because of Seong Yan. So, he should know that if one day he dies, she will go back to being a sad and lonely person. What she is about to say now is not something she is saying just to be dramatic. It's something she has thought about a lot. If one day he closes his eyes and she cannot bring him back, she will have no reason to live and will follow him, even after death. Seong Yan tries to stop her from saying such things, but she continues. When she saw him buried in Wangjiang, and when she had to resuscitate him in the hospital, she felt a pain she cannot put into words. It's a pain she wouldn't be able to bear if he didn't come back. Seong Yan hugs her tightly and reveals that they have wanted to promote him for some time now. So, he won't change his profession, but he could be transferred to another position. Since last year, they have been trying to transfer him, but he needs to finish making some adjustments, implementing some changes to the team and the training system, to ensure that Shilitai Station continues to be the best, efficient, and reliable, even without him as the captain. That's why he hadn't told her about it until now. Everything is almost ready. Now he just needs to find someone capable of replacing him on the front line. Seong Yan has to carry her on his back to get them home. His aunt becomes worried about her, but Seong Yan explains that they just went out for a drink, and she only needs to rest. He carefully lays her on the bed, removes her scarf, jacket, sneakers, and socks, then covers her with a blanket. After washing her hands and feet, he realizes she has been awake the whole time, just wanting to be pampered. Seong Yan lies down next to her and tells her that he has already envisioned their future together. They will live in their own house, and he will buy a car to take her to and from work. He will work only from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they will have breakfast together every day. They will cook together, watch movies, go shopping, plant flowers in the garden, have pets, and on weekends, they will explore nearby places. During vacations, they will travel to more distant destinations, and when they feel tired and don't want to go out, they will stay home enjoying each other's company. In the morning, Seong Yan's uncle and aunt hear Shu-chin's cheerful voice calling him to see the snow. When Seong Yan follows her to the terrace and sees her gathering a snowball in her hands, he smiles and pretends not to notice. But when she tries to throw it at him, he reacts first and reminds her that she is like an open book to him. So there is no way she can surprise him. Her punishment is feeling snow slipping down her back. While they play together in the snow, his uncle and aunt watch them from a distance, happy for their happiness. Later, while strolling around the neighborhood, they stop to buy some fish, and on their way back home by bicycle, Seong Yan asks Shu-chin how she envisions their future home. She says she wants something not too big but cozy enough to truly feel like a home. Seong Yan agrees but mentions it should also be close to their workplaces. Shu-chin reminds him that houses in that area are more expensive. However, he tells her that he recently received a salary increase, and they could rent a house together. With Seong Yan having to return to the station, we see through Meow how the family is preparing for the New Year's dinner. Mr. Jai is cooking for everyone, Shu-chin is arranging the living room and setting it up for the family dinner, while Mrs. Jai is in the yard making decorations for Meow to place around the house. They lament that Seong Yan can never spend New Year's Eve at home, but are happy to have Shu-chin with them now. She and Meow rush to put the decorations on the gate, but hurry even more when Mr. Jai calls them to enjoy his delicious family meal. At the station, the firefighters are also preparing for the New Year's celebration. They write letters to their families, decorate the station, and hug each other, wishing a Happy New Year before dining together. The rookies mention that this is their first time eating a New Year's meal in their uniforms, and find it a bit strange. Chi explains that because Shilitai is the best, they are on the front line this year, so even though it's a holiday, they must stay alert for public safety. Seong Yan and Jiang Yu arrive and join them. Jiang Yu has prepared red envelopes with a financial bonus for everyone, and Seong Yan gives a speech praising Shilitai's strength and commending everyone's excellent performance this year, congratulating them for maintaining the station's honor. The New Year arrives, and the city streets are beautifully decorated. While children joyfully run around, Seong Yan's family celebrates with a warm dinner together. Meanwhile, Seong Yan's team is called by an elderly woman who got locked outside her house. When they arrive, they must break the door open to turn off the stove, which was burning the pork she had forgotten before leaving. Fortunately, everything ends well, and Seong Yan informs her not to worry about the lock. They will install a new one for her. He also asks his teammates to help put up the decorations she couldn't hang alone. The elderly woman wants to give them some oranges as a thank you, but by law, they cannot accept gifts from civilians. Seong Yan wishes her a Happy New Year and says goodbye. She then grabs Dapeng's arm and insists that he take the oranges. Dapeng agrees to take just one to avoid being rude, but he is afraid of being scolded by the captain. However, Seong Yan lets this one slide. They peel the orange and share a slice with each team member, and he once again praises them for their excellent work this year. Unlike the warm and joyful family dinner Shu-chin is having at home, the Meng family has a quiet and sad dinner. Everyone misses Shu-chin and had hoped she would show up to spend New Year's Eve with them, but she didn't. Seong Yan arrives home and finds Shu-chin asleep on the sofa. When he wakes her, she explains that she fell asleep while waiting for him. She asks him to go to bed with her so they can rest together, but Seong Yan says they need to talk first. He explains that Chinese New Year is a special time meant to be spent with family, and she should visit her family. He promises that this time he will accompany her. Shu-chin worries that they might treat him poorly, but Seong Yan assures her that he will only drop her off and pick her up. He doesn't need to go inside. He will simply support her if needed. He wishes her a Happy New Year and carries her in his arms to the bedroom. The next day, they go to the Meng family's house. Seong Yan tells her he will wait for her at the museum across the street. She only needs to call him if she needs anything or when she wants to leave. When Shu-chin enters, she is warmly received by her father, but her mother ignores her. Yan-chen senses the tense atmosphere and tells her that Yixiao invited him to play tennis, and he asks if she wants to come along before dinner. While watching her brother play tennis with their cousins, Shu-chin checks her phone to see if there are any messages from Seong Yan. When she looks outside and sees that it is snowing, she worries he might be cold and sends him a message. Seong Yan replies that he is fine and warm inside the museum. He tells her not to worry and to focus on enjoying her time with her family, but she can't stop thinking about him. Her mother enters the room, greets everyone, but continues to ignore her. Another cousin who just arrived approaches Shu-chin and tells her he saw her boyfriend waiting outside, but he isn't sure if it was really him. Shu-chin says he must be mistaken because Seong Yan went to the museum. But when he tells her that the museum has been closed for renovations for several months, she tells her mother she has an emergency and needs to leave, promising to return another day. Chen-jin doesn't allow her to leave and orders her to sit down. Zhu-chin then realizes that her mother knew Seong Yan was outside in the cold and is shocked by her mother's cruelty. She simply turns and runs away. She finds Seong Yan and hugs him. He asks why she left so soon, and she replies that she wasn't hungry, just missed him. Zhu-chin asks why he was waiting outside, and he lies, saying he just returned from the museum. He washed his hands, which is why they are so cold. Zhu-chin accepts his lie because she knows that if he knew she left because of him, he would send her back. In the taxi on the way home, she puts his hand inside her coat to warm it, but Seong Yan feels embarrassed that the driver might see and tries to pull away. Zhu-chin firmly tells him to keep his hand there or she will get mad, forcing him to let himself be held and warmed by her love. The next day, Seong Yan tells the station director that he is willing to accept the promotion. The director is pleased to hear this, but explains that the higher-ups have not yet decided which position would suit him best. He asks Seong Yan to gather the necessary paperwork and bring it to him. After the evaluation, they will make the decision together. Before Seong Yan leaves, the director comments on the sparkle in his eyes and the smile on his face, something he hadn't seen before. He realizes that Seong Yan is planning to get married and start a family, and congratulates him with a smile. Meanwhile, Zhu-chin also has a conversation with her superior regarding her promotion and the possibility of joining the hospital's research team. However, the deputy director informs her that the higher-ups still need to discuss her eligibility before transferring her. Zhu-chin knows that the research team is led by the department head and lecturers, so she doesn't understand why the higher-ups are involved in this decision. The deputy director confirms that her name was initially chosen for the position, but her words on the rooftop were considered inappropriate. To avoid damaging the hospital's reputation, they decided to delay her promotion. Zhu-chin says she has already checked online for any rumors about the incident and found nothing, so it doesn't make sense for this to be the reason. Running out of excuses, the deputy director simply says that he is following the orders of his superiors. Zhu-chin tells him that she will not accept this decision without a reasonable explanation. She has never made a mistake in surgeries, never broken the rules, always scored the highest in evaluations, and knows she is the best among them, even with less experience. So, once again, she insists on knowing the real reason they won't accept her on the research team. She leaves but reminds him that she will not accept this decision without an explanation, giving him some time to decide how he will resolve this. The rumor of Seong Yan's promotion spreads throughout the station, and the team becomes worried about losing their captain, but Jung Yu reassures them. Later, he meets with Seong Yan and congratulates him, but admits that he will miss him. Seong Yan teases him, saying that now he will be his superior, so he will see him whenever he needs to be scolded. Then, getting serious, Seong Yan asks how Jung Yu feels about it. Jung Yu admits that he can't imagine Shilitai without him, but at least he will still be one of them. Besides, he always knew Seong Yan was too capable to stay there forever. So, he is right to accept the promotion. Seong Yan thanks him, appreciating that Jung Yu is much more understanding with him than he was with his former instructor. When Director Shu learns about Deputy Director Tian's decision to deny Zhu-chin's promotion, he is furious and refuses to sign the paperwork. He declares that Zhu-chin is by far the best surgeon there and the most qualified among all the candidates. Outside the office, Zhu-chin overhears the two arguing. Tian expresses his surprise, saying he thought Director Shu hated Zhu-chin and doesn't understand why he is so eager to promote her. Shu firmly responds that whether he likes her or not is his own problem. But whether she is qualified is the hospital's problem. And for the hospital, there is no doubt that she is the best candidate. Like Zhu-chin, Shu insists on knowing the real reason they are trying to block her progress. Tian reveals that this wasn't his decision. He is simply following orders from the higher-ups. Shu demands to know the name of the superior who gave this order. When Tian reveals the name, Shu is not surprised, recognizing it as the same person who always makes senseless decisions. As Zhu-chin walks away, furious, Shu makes it clear to Tian that she is a rare talent, and he will protect her to the end. No matter who they choose, he will only accept her in the research team. Shuqin finally understands that her manipulative and controlling mother is behind everything, trying to block her professional growth to keep her dependent. She sends messages to her mother, begging her to leave her alone and stop interfering in her career, but the cruel woman merely challenges her to survive without her. Meanwhile, Da-peng continues trying to convince Dr. Nan to overlook the age difference and give them a chance, with her friends agreeing with him. Nan finds him waiting outside the hospital, and he tells her he bought movie tickets for them that night. She refuses, saying she will be busy. Seeing his persistence, she asks him to talk in private. Da-peng asks if he did something wrong, but she replies that he didn't. The problem is with her, she can't accept the age difference between them. Da-peng insists that it's not a problem. He is 22 years old, an adult, and ready to take responsibility for her. Nan argues that she is much older than him, and his parents wouldn't accept her. Da-peng says that what matters are the feelings they share, and his parents will eventually accept it. He tells her that when he joined the firefighters, everyone treated him like a child, and even Captain Seong Yan looked down on him at first. But as he adapted to the captain's rigorous training, he became one of the best at the station, even becoming the overall champion. There are even rumors that Seong Yan plans to train him as his replacement in the future. Da-peng assures her that their relationship will be the same. She may see him as a boy now because of his inexperience, but he will soon adapt and become the best boyfriend for her. Nan promises to think about it, but asks him not to contact her until she sends him a message with her decision. After the completion of a new hotel, fireworks are launched in celebration. However, one of them accidentally enters the building, causing a fire. The firefighters are dispatched, and Seong Yan heads to the scene with his team. Upon arrival, Seong Yan notices that the fire has spread unusually fast and is informed by a firefighter from another station that there are 8 people trapped inside, scattered between the 8th and 12th floors. The firefighter offers to search the 8th, 9th, and 10th floors with his team and asks Seong Yan and his team to cover the 11th and 12th floors. Seong Yan selects his best men to enter with him, including Da-peng. The team quickly reaches the 11th floor, where Seong Yan and 2 others remain, while Da-peng and 2 other firefighters head to the 12th floor. Seong Yan immediately notices the first flaw of the new hotel. There is no water in the hydrant, making the use of the water hose impossible. Both teams are forced to enter their respective floors amidst the flames to search for the trapped civilians. It doesn't take long before they begin locating and rescuing them one by one. While Da-peng was rescuing the last civilian, Seong Yan notices the fire rapidly spreading across the ceiling and orders everyone to retreat. But it was too late. Time seems to freeze for Da-peng just seconds before he is caught in an explosion. Not just one, but several explosions occur throughout the building. Fortunately, Seong Yan and his team manage to escape. Before leaving, they rescue another civilian, and Seong Yan notices one of the reasons the fire spread so quickly. There was styrofoam lining the ceilings and walls of the hotel. Through the radio, he calls each of his men to confirm that they are safe, but soon realizes that Da-peng is not responding. He immediately rushes to the upper floor in search of him. He and his team find the young firefighter buried under the rubble from the explosion. Da-peng is without his oxygen mask because he removed it to place it on the civilian he was saving. Seong Yan quickly carries Da-peng on his shoulders and rushes him to the ambulance stretcher. Everyone gathers around to check on Da-peng, but Seong Yan orders his fellow veteran teammate to keep the rookies from witnessing this scene. Da-peng is rushed to the hospital, and Seong Yan stares furiously at the burning building, silently demanding justice and punishment for those responsible. Shuqin is at home when she sees the news about the hotel fire and the 5 victims, including a firefighter. She rushes to the terrace, where she can see the burning building in the distance. Panicked, she runs to the hospital and finds Seong Yan and his team anxiously searching for Da-peng. Shuqin helps them and leads them to the room where the operation is taking place. When they arrive, they find Jiang sitting on the floor crying. Seong Yan asks him why he didn't answer the calls, but Jiang doesn't respond. The door opens, and Dr. Yang delivers the heartbreaking news. The injuries and burns were too severe. She couldn't save Da-peng. The teammates enter the room and look at him one last time before breaking down in tears. Outside, Nan arrives, and after learning that Dapeng didn't survive, she also collapses in tears. Suddenly, Seong Yan leaves the room, deeply shaken, with Shu-chin following him. She catches up to him and tries to comfort him. Seong Yan apologizes to her, saying he will have to delay their plans for a happy life together. The people responsible for Dapeng's death must be punished, no matter the cost. He returns to the burned building to search through the debris, but begins having hallucinations of Dapeng still lying there, begging his captain for help that never came. In a conversation with Jong Yu, Seong Yan angrily states that it doesn't matter who owns the building. To save a few million on a billion-dollar project, those bastards caused someone's death, and he vows to seek justice. That's when Jong Yu drops the bombshell. The building is owned by the Guokun Group, the company of the Meng family, Shu-chin's parents. At the Meng family home, Mr. Meng is terrified by the online backlash, but Chen Jin coldly dismisses it as mere sensationalism, because one of the 3 fatalities was a firefighter. She believes the buzz will soon pass. Her main concern is the destroyed building, which was built by Mr. Gu, who always prioritized quality. While helping her husband get ready for work, she advises him to maintain his composure and let Mr. Gu handle the situation. After all, any problem that can be solved with money is not really a problem for them. The Meng family's goons try to enter the emergency room to buy the silence of the victims, but the nurses block their way. One of the men threatens to call their superior, but Shu-chin arrives at that moment and orders them to leave. Another thug tries to push her aside, but the lead man stops him, knowing they can't touch her. He introduces himself as Wang, Mr. Gu's secretary, a friend of her family. Just then, Wu, the direct secretary of the Meng family, also arrives. This is when Shu-chin realizes that the burned hotel belongs to the Guokun Group, and her family is responsible for the tragedy. Wu confirms this and asks her to let him in to resolve the situation. They lie, claiming it was just an accident and that they are concerned about the victims. At the station, the firefighters gather to honor Dapeng, and Seong Yan hands his parents the letter Dapeng had written to them for New Year's. In the letter, he apologizes for not being able to spend that special day with them, and says he misses them. Excitedly, he tells them that he is now participating in real operations. Although it is very hot and sometimes scary, they don't need to worry because he has become a great firefighter. He proudly shares that their station won first place in the annual competition. They are the best of the best, and their captain, Seong Yan, is incredible, his inspiration to become just as good in the future. Dapeng also mentions that he has fallen in love, and as soon as they officially start dating, he will bring her to meet them. As Dapeng's mother holds the letter with trembling hands, silent tears stream down her face. Around her, his fellow firefighters, those who once laughed and trained alongside him, struggle to maintain their composure, but they can't hold back their tears. Each line of the letter is a painful reminder of the life full of dreams that Dapeng had ahead of him, a life cut short by human greed. He was young, full of hope, a brave heart who stood out among heroes. And even amid fire and darkness, Dapeng never backed down. His name is now remembered not only as that of a friend, but as a true hero. The next day, after a rescue operation, the firefighters are furious when they see false news online claiming that Dapeng's death was due to errors made in the command of the operation. Meanwhile, Seong Yan is writing a detailed report about the incident, emphasizing all the building's irregularities. Jiang Yu shows Seong Yan several calls from people attempting to bribe them into not accusing the company, but both are determined to continue, even if it puts their lives at risk. Their only fear is that Shu-chin might end up hurt by the situation. Speaking of Shu-chin, she is at the hospital and finds Nan still shaken in the restroom. Nan regrets not following her heart while she still had the chance, regrets how she spoke to Dapeng in their last conversation, and can't accept that it was the last time she saw him. Later, Seong Yan asks Shu-chin for a serious conversation. Outside the hospital, he explains the entire situation about the fire, mentioning the inspection's findings and emphasizing that the main responsibility lies with the building's owner, the Guo-kun Group, her family's company. Shu-chin simply asks what he intends to do, and Seong Yan responds that he will present all the facts and spare no effort to hold them accountable. Shu-chin acknowledges his strong principles and knows he would never stray from them. Seong Yan hugs her and thanks her for understanding, but Shu-chin reminds him that she is still selfish and, deep down, wished he could betray those principles for her. Yet, she also feels that if he did, something between them would change. Deepening was his teammate who died young and unfairly. If Seong Yan ignored the victim and the truth, he would no longer be the person she loves because he would become someone else. Shu-chin says she is not worried about her family, but about what they might do to him in retaliation, ruining his career and his future, which would also harm their future together. Seong Yan and Jang Yu head to the station director's office to talk before the meeting about the fire, but they hesitate to open the door. Lee Meng appears and tells them that the director doesn't want to influence their decision. Moreover, he is under pressure from his superiors and doesn't want to raise any suspicions. Even so, he asked Lee Meng to let them know that he will support them in their decision, whatever it may be. During the meeting, it is revealed that the fireworks were purchased illegally, exceeding the legally permitted amount, and were the initial cause of the fire. However, this information is used to try to shift the blame away from Guo-kun and place it solely on the contractors. Seong Yan argues that while the fireworks may have been the initial cause, the rapid spread of the fire that led to the explosion was due to the materials used in the building's construction. The firefighter bribed by Guo-kun defends the company, claiming that the hotel's construction passed all inspections and that the materials met all safety standards. Firefighters from the Wufang station, who were the first to arrive at the scene, report that the building's firefighting equipment did not work properly and that the smoke was far too thick, something not normal in buildings that use materials meeting safety standards. Seong Yan explains that after the decorative materials burned, the fire spread from the outside to the inside and from the bottom to the top. When it reached the 12th floor, it ignited several unsuitable insulation materials, which were made of foam, piled up, creating thick, toxic smoke. This foam was the main cause of three-dimensional ignition and combustion. Additionally, the construction site contained various flammable materials, making the safety measures completely ineffective. At the hospital, a nurse approaches Shu-chin, asking for her help because those strange men have returned and are trying to enter the room of the fire victims. When Shu-chin arrives, they have already entered and locked the door. When they finally come out, a smiling Wang claims they were just concerned about the injured, but fortunately, they are fine. He quickly leaves as the nurse arrives with the police. Shu-chin goes in to check on the patients, but they all act strangely, as if hiding something. The nurse mentions hearing those men talking about financial compensation, but the patients deny it. Shu-chin then realizes they were bribed to lie in their statements in favor of Guo-kun. Determined, Shu-chin goes to the Meng family home and arrives just as her mother is on the phone with Secretary Wu, who informs her that things are getting complicated and that Mr. Meng has been temporarily removed to prevent him from interfering in the investigation. Chen Jin doesn't understand why, especially since they have already handled everything. That's when Wu informs her that a firefighter named Seong Yan has accused them of using substandard insulation materials. Chen Jin shares this with Shu-chin, saying that her boyfriend is trying to bring down her family, which means he doesn't care about her feelings. Yan Chen interrupts, arguing that Guo-kun is a massive conglomerate, and that hotel was just one of many projects, each with its own specialized team and person in charge. So there is no way his father could be blamed. Chen Jin then reveals that the person responsible was their uncle. If Uncle Gu is found guilty, it will drastically reduce their father's power and influence within the company. As Shu-kin leaves, she passes by Wu, who barely acknowledges her before rushing to inform Chen Jin that after an internal investigation, they discovered that Seong Yan's version of events is true. Mr. Gu's manager had accepted bribes from the suppliers of the fireworks and building materials, purchasing cheaper products while pocketing the remaining funds from the investment. Mr. Gu was unaware of this, But the safety inspections failed the construction several times, delaying the project's progress. That's when manager Zhao resorted to unconventional methods to obtain the necessary permits. Even though Mr. Gu was unaware of the scheme, he was the person responsible for the project. So, to protect Guo Kun, he must be held accountable. Chen Jin agrees and orders Wu to inform Mr. Gu to resolve this immediately and punish the one responsible. When the inspectors arrive at the burned building, they immediately notice something strange. All the materials on the inspected floor are of top quality, contradicting Seong Yan's account. They question the man present about why only that floor has materials, while the others are clean. But he simply claims it was the firefighters who left it that way. The inspector, however, knows that firefighters would never do such a thing. They prioritize preserving evidence. He then asks to review the security camera footage, but the man claims they were destroyed in the fire, and all recordings were lost. Meanwhile, Seong Yan is heading home when he is ambushed by a man who shoves a package into his hands and quickly runs away. It's a setup, meant to accuse him of accepting a bribe to lie in his testimony. Realizing the setup, Seong Yan immediately took the package filled with money and handed it to his superior, informing him of what had happened. Mr. Gao informs him of the inspector's findings, revealing that only high-quality materials were found in the building. They switched the materials, diverted attention, and now sent this money to Seong Yan. Their intentions are clear. To make matters worse, we see Secretary Wu receiving the video of the setup against Seong Yan. With this, he has the evidence needed to accuse Seong Yan of false testimony. At the hospital, Xu Qin is struggling with one of the fire victims, who refuses to undergo a CT scan. He and his wife don't want to spend more money and plan to recover at home. Xu Qin insists that he cannot be discharged yet because she detected crackles in his lungs, which could be post-burn complications. If left untreated, it could be fatal. The wife becomes irritated, accusing Xu Qin of just trying to scare them into spending more money at the hospital. Xu Qin swears she is telling the truth, but getting the CT scan is their choice. At the station, Li Ming informs everyone that the administration has decided to temporarily remove Seong Yan from his position until the investigation is completed. Jiang Yu will take over the station in the meantime. Everyone knows the video is nothing but a setup, and they swear that if Seong Yan is suspended, the entire team will resign. Their outraged shouts are interrupted by Seong Yan's command for silence. He orders them to focus only on their work. He will resolve this and return to the station soon. At home, Seong Yan only tells Miao about the situation, but asks for her help in convincing the others that he is just on leave. Miao is furious at the injustice and begs him to change jobs, but Seong Yan says that even if he is fired, he will not stop until he gets justice. Miao suspects that the Meng family is behind this, reminding him of what they have done in the past. But Seong Yan, with a serious expression, warns her never to bring that up again. To calm her down, he explains that the incident is related to the Guo Kun group, but has no direct connection to the Meng family. So this time, it shouldn't be them attacking him. Xu Qin wakes up in the middle of the night, but Seong Yan is not beside her in bed. She goes out to look for him and finds him drinking alone on the rooftop, lost in thought. At first, she scolds him for not inviting her to drink with him, then questions why he is drinking when he has to work the next day. Seong Yan reveals that someone sent him 200,000 yuan, filmed him receiving it, and sent the footage to the station along with a complaint. As a result, he is temporarily suspended until the investigation is completed. Xu Qin suggests that he should consider changing his career, and Seong Yan admits that he once thought about it at the beginning. When he first joined the fire department, he treated it like any other job. The training was intense and daily, and during fires, he did his best. He thought it was all straightforward, just train and follow orders, no complications. But gradually, he realized that being a firefighter was no longer just a job. Being a firefighter had become half of his life, something he couldn't just stop being. Xu Qin says she won't mention changing his profession again, but will continue hoping for his promotion to a safer position within the station. They share the last can of beer and spend some time there, admiring the starry sky in each other's company. Meanwhile, the wife of the fire victim decides that it is best to get the CT scan for her husband, but unfortunately, she discovers they don't have enough money for it. Shu-chin sees her crying in the restroom while talking to her mother on the phone, explaining the desperate situation. She talks about the compensation money they received to keep quiet, but they already spent it, and now they are 20,000 won short for the CT scan that could save her husband's life. Wiping her tears, she returns to her husband's room and begins packing his things to take him home. But she is surprised when her children tell her that Dr. Shu-chin has paid all the medical fees for them, and now her husband will continue his treatment. The woman is overwhelmed with emotion and cries while hugging her children. The surgery is performed successfully, and now her husband just needs time to fully recover. The woman thanks Shu-chin, but Shu-chin reminds her to be grateful to the firefighters who rescued her husband from the burning building. The woman agrees and asks where she can find the young firefighter who saved her husband to thank him personally. Shu-chin sadly explains that he did not survive, leaving the woman deeply shaken. As Shu-chin left the room, the woman ran after her. Knowing that Shu-chin was familiar with the firefighters, she provided a crucial piece of information. When the thugs were trying to dispose of the actual materials used in the building's construction, the police intercepted them before they could escape. A journalist announced the case's resolution to the entire country. It was revealed that the project manager, Wu, had illegally set off fireworks, which triggered the fire that spread rapidly due to the low-quality insulation materials piled on the 12th floor. Wang, the secretary of the board of the Guokun Group, conspired in the use of these substandard materials and used illegal means to bypass fire safety inspections. At the station, Seong Yan is praised for his excellent report, which greatly assisted the investigation team. Moreover, the investigation into the alleged bribe he received has been completed, and it was concluded that he was innocent. Seong Yan's actions are recognized as honorable, yet he was falsely accused. The administration wants to reward him somehow and asks what he wishes for. Seong Yan makes only one request: that the station takes care of Dapeng's parents, who lost their only son. Mr. Gao assures him not to worry. The department will do its best for them. After finishing the treatment of Dapeng's teammates who were also injured, Nan buys 2 movie tickets and sits beside an empty chair, the seat that would have been Dapeng's. The light from the screen reflects on her face as the film begins. It tells the story of a heroic firefighter, someone who never hesitated to risk his life to save others. As the scenes of courage unfold, Nan's eyes fill with tears. She can't avoid the flashes of memories that hit her. Dapeng's wide smile, his awkward way of trying to cheer her up, the promise of going to the movies together, the plans that were interrupted. With each scene of the movie, it feels like he is right there beside her, laughing and making quiet comments about the plot. But when she turns to look, the empty chair is a cruel reminder that he is no longer there. Pain mixes with longing, and her tears become uncontrollable. Nan covers her mouth to stifle her sobs, while the film glorifies the heroism of the protagonist, the same heroism that Dapeng had, but which took him away from her. As the credits begin to roll, Nan remains seated, staring at the screen, letting the tears express what her heart cannot bear. Just like the movie, Dapeng's story has ended, but even though the world moves on, she will never forget him. Night falls, and heavy rain pours down on the station's courtyard. The firefighters, standing in respectful formation, remain firm, even as raindrops stream down their faces. Seong Yan stands at the front, maintaining the firm posture of a leader who carries the pain of an irreplaceable loss but never shows weakness. He begins the roll call, announcing the names of his teammates one by one. Each voice responds strongly, saying, "Present," to each name called. When he reaches Dapeng's name, Seong Yan keeps his voice steady and clear. Dapeng. At that moment, as if the sky itself were responding, all the firefighters shout his name together with force, in unison, breaking the silence of the night. Dapeng. It is a cry of pain, of longing, but also of honor. As if in that cry, they are declaring that his spirit will never be forgotten. The rain continues to fall, but it no longer matters. Dapeng's name echoes throughout the station, not as a farewell, but as an oath. He will always be one of them. A hero, a brother. Seong Yan stands firm and resolute, his gaze steady, his heart carrying the weight of every life he has protected, and the pain of those he could not save. At the Meng family home, Chen Jin complains that Shu Qin is visiting them less and less, blaming Seong Yan for it. She accuses him of trying to destroy their family. Yan Chen defends Seong Yan, saying he was simply fulfilling his role as a leader. Even Mr. Meng agrees, stating that the disaster happened due to Mr. Gu's failure in managing the project, and those responsible must be punished. Fortunately, the company did not suffer irreversible damage, but Gu failed to keep his subordinates under control, so the blame also falls on him. Fearing that her husband might lose even more power and influence within the company, Chen Jin insists that Yan Chen should take over as president before it is too late. But Yan Chen seems hesitant about it. Meanwhile, Shu Qin calls her father to check if he is okay after the disaster involving Guo Kun. She is surprised and emotional when she hears her father more interested in knowing how she is doing and telling her that he misses her, asking her to visit more often. Now that everything has been resolved and justice has been served, Seong Yan's superiors want to discuss his promotion. There are two options. The first is that he will be transferred to another department. The second option, however, is much more significant. Due to the exemplary performance of the Shilitai station under his leadership in advanced rescue operations, the countless lives saved and the properties protected, they have gained recognition not just in Yancheng, but across the entire country. The station has shown an incredible ability to contain large fires, contributed to the development of new equipment, and even helped in the city's economic development. After thorough research, the administration has decided to request accreditation for the Shilitai Fire and Rescue Brigade. Without much thought, Seong Yan accepts the second option. This means that Shilitai Station will become the first officially recognized elite firefighting unit in the country, thanks to the excellent work led by Seong Yan. Not only will Seong Yan receive a bonus and a substantial salary increase, but all members of his elite team will also receive a considerable raise in their salaries. During the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Shilitai Fire Brigade, Commissioner Li Yunji congratulates them for the decades of glory they have achieved so far. They have completed over 35,000 emergency operations and rescued more than 170,000 disaster victims. They have protected the people's property worth over 1 billion yuan. The members of the Shilitai station are known for never backing down in the face of adversity. After the formal greetings, a member of the party committee announces that, together with the municipal government, they have decided to honor the Shilitai Fire Brigade with the title of Guardians of Yancheng. Mr. Gao then informs them that they are now an elite unit, facing new missions and challenges ahead. They will no longer be just a rescue and firefighting squad, but also a special service brigade, called upon in emergencies of national level. Seong Yan is invited to the stage to receive a military order plaque, granting him national-level authority. Alongside his team, they shout oaths of loyalty, discipline, and impartiality in service to the people. This chapter in their history closes, making way for an even more grand and remarkable future. When Shu Qin arrives home and finds Seong Yan cooking, he tells her about his promotion, but explains that he won't be moving to an administrative position. He will continue at Shilitai. She is upset because she wanted him to stay safe, but Seong Yan explains that there will be some changes. Moreover, both his equipment and his team are now more advanced, significantly reducing the risk of any accidents. He apologizes for his decision, but says he thought about it a lot, and despite being conflicted, he couldn't leave. Shu Qin becomes angry, pointing out that he was conflicted but never discussed it with her and made the decision unilaterally. He always supports her, but never asks for her support, which makes her feel like a burden to him. Seong Yan apologizes again, but reveals that there is something inside him that whenever he faces stressful situations, pushes him to solve them alone. He didn't want to stress her out. Shu Qin says she has noticed this. He always lies or hides his problems instead of sharing them with her. He thinks he is doing her a favor, but he is only hurting her. Seong Yan promises that he won't hide anything from her anymore. So Shu-chin immediately questions him about the bullet wound on his back, the withheld grades from his high school, the real reason he became a soldier, and why, instead of being promoted, he became a firefighter. Everyone in his family seems to know the answers to these questions, but no one ever talks about it, leaving her as the only one in the dark. Shu-chin asks him to explain everything and demands to know the truth. Seong Yan says this is the only truth he cannot share with her. Shu-chin insists that if they are going to get married, there can't be any secrets between them. She is giving herself completely to him, but Seong Yan seems increasingly distant, which makes her feel like she isn't part of his family. Seong Yan tells her that she is the most important person in his life, so of course, she is family. Since he refuses to talk, Shu-chin asks him at least to tell her why he needs to hide the truth from her. His silence frustrates her, and she leaves.